Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Rachel Klein and I will be your presenter here. I'm hoping for the next 20 minutes. We might go a little bit over, but I will do my best to keep it right at the 20-minute mark. Today we are going to be talking about generating a directory in Church Windows membership. So we're looking at one of our workbooks. That's the information that I'm going to be teaching from today. Specifically, it's the Membership 204 workbook. And then we're going to be looking at pages 24 through 26. So if you have that workbook, please feel free to follow along. If you're interested in purchasing that workbook, you can do so out on our website. So out here at churchwindows.com. Under, let's see, beginning, you can go to training workbooks, and then you'll see all the different workbooks that we have available for you to purchase are listed under here. They're $12 if you want a downloadable version that you can download and print yourself, or they are $22 if you want a pre-printed binder-ready format that we mail to you. Okay, and like I said, today we're looking at Membership 204, specifically pages 24 through 26. Here's that workbook here, and this will give you a summary of everything that workbook's going to cover. Okay. Also, a bunch of people are registered for today's topic, which is great. Josh is in here with me to help answer questions. Feel free to expand that question section on your GoToWebinar toolbar. Type in your question, and Josh will do his best to get you a response. I actually don't look at the questions until I'm done presenting. I tend to get myself mixed up if I'm trying to read a question while still sharing the material, so I don't even look at that till after. But you can ask a question, type in that question while I'm presenting, and Josh will get you an answer, or feel free to wait till the end, and then I'll do a little Q&A at the end and cover any questions you might have. Please try to keep your questions topical, again, because it's just me and Josh and a lot of you guys. If your questions are really specific to your data or a specific layout, for example, that you want for the directory that I don't touch on today, that's going to be best handled with a support call. Or if you have a question that is a little off topic, doesn't have to do with the directory templates, just give us a call, or you can shoot us an email to support@churchwindows.com and we can get you an answer that way as well. Okay. I am recording this webinar. I'll get it cleaned up, put it up on the website by end of day for you to rewatch or share with someone else that you think might find this beneficial. Okay. So let's jump in. As you can see, I'm in version 22.19.3. This is our most current version. If you have something older than this or not up to the service release 3, head out to our website. You can get the service release or the most recent update downloaded there, or again, give us a call and we can help get you. Okay. All right, I'm going to open up the membership module here. And first, I want to go over real quick how you tell the software that you have a specific person that you want to show up on your directory. So I'm going to go into People here. And then in People, I'm going to jump to the Bernard family. I tend to always use them. Family of 4 here, as you can see looking down here at the bottom left. Over here on the right, under individual fields, there are 2 fields that are very, very important for Church Windows reporting, specifically the directory. Okay, those are these 2 fields here: include on directory and directory report order. Those fields need to be filled in for someone to show up on a Church Windows directory. So the include on directory, it's a simple checkbox. So if you have someone that you want to show up in the directory, this box has to be checked. And then you also need to fill in the directory report order. So even if you leave this box unchecked, if you find you have someone who you don't want to see in your Church Windows directory, that's fine, leave it unchecked. But the directory report order still needs filled in for everyone that you have in your database. Okay, so this is a family of 4. Evan here, he's listed as 1. He's the primary person within the household. We have Nikki, Evan's wife. She has a 2 for secondary, and then their 2 kids, Stuart and Eric, they have the number 3, child with family. All right, but as you can see, each person within this household is checked because I want to see all of them on my directory. All right. This special character checkbox, this is optional, doesn't need to be filled in, but we have some users who like to specify certain people in the directory with a character next to their name. Okay, so say you have someone who's on church council and you want to note that when you print the directory next to their name. You could simply type in an asterisk here next to those people who are, say, on said church council. And then when you run their directory next to their name, that symbol, whether it's an asterisk or whatever character you choose, will then appear next to their name in the directory report. Okay. Again, it's an optional thing. You do not have to fill it in, but if you would like a way to make a note on someone's record next to their name, use that with special character box. Okay. All right. So once you have those 2 fields filled out the way you need it for each person in your church windows, then you're set up to run your directory. So let's go ahead and jump into that. Up here at the top, I'm going to go to Reports and Exports, Reports and Labels, and then Reports Directory Export. And that's going to take us to our step 1 screen. All right. As you can see right now up at the top, it's saying include members and visitors. That is only going to include members and visitors who have that include on directory box checked. Okay. Church Windows only pulls those people automatically. So you don't have to go in and specify include on directory equal to yes. Program does it automatically for you. But let's say for this directory, you don't want to include visitors. If that's the case, you would hit the Edit People Selection Criteria button, come in here, and simply uncheck that Visitors checkbox or whatever categories you might have set up and customized over the years. And you can specify just with an easy click who you want to see or don't. All right. Now, if you have additional criteria that you're wanting to use for your directory, say you only want people who have a particular status code to show up in the directory. Just like any other report, you could come over here and put in that criteria as well. All right. But most of the time when you run a directory, all you have to do here on step 1, if need be, is uncheck visitors. If not, you don't need to add any additional criteria because, again, it's only pulling those include on directory people. Right? Something you do need to check on, though, is your sort tab. So this is the sort order, the way the people are going to be ordered when you print out your church directory. Okay? Majority of the time, people like an alphabetical sort for the directory. If for some reason you have a different order you're wanting to use, you can do that here in sort field 1. But again, typically you're going to go with an alphabetical sort. But this is where you need to verify that your sort order is correct. Right? Once you have the sort order that you want, you're going to hit next. And that's going to take you to step 2. Now, it's very important when you run a church directory that you have this option here of directory selected. This is what tells the program to only pull those include on directory people. Okay? Now, if we look at the list below, if I come up here and I switch to basic, you'll see that my list of people is going to change because it's going to be pulling different people. It's going to be pulling everybody. As soon as I switch to that directory option, my list is going to update and only pull those include on directory people. Okay? Now, right below that, you have a little drop box. These are all of the templates that our programmers have set up and designed for you to choose from. There are a lot of different options here for the layout that you want or the way you want your directory to look like, okay? So I'm going to show you a couple of them. When you come in here and start to do your directory, you can select one and hit print and just see what it looks like. It doesn't hurt anything to hit the print button and get a preview of what your data is going to look like. So this is one of our basic 2-column directories. You're getting the name information, kids information, their address, and their primary phone. Now, if you look over here on Jen, you can see she has an alternate address. It will show that information as well. And if you have a date range specified of when they're at that alternate address, it's going to print that range. Okay. There's a lot of different templates here to choose from. We also have a 3-column directory, same as the 2-column, just you have that 3rd column that appears. We also have a horizontal classic directory. This is another popular one that I see people using quite a bit. So instead of everyone listed in like a square, column-wise, you're going to go horizontal. So you're going to have the name information here, address information, and then if they have a primary phone, that would print off here to the right. Okay. It's another popular one. We also have some picture directories in here. So anywhere you see the word picture or pictorial, that's going to include a photo. So if you've uploaded a photo onto your records and people, that will automatically pull their picture and then print that on the directory as well. All right. Now we do have some in here that have cell and email. I'm going to work with that one and customize that one so you guys can see how simple that is. I'm going to go ahead and choose this 2-column directory with cell and email. As soon as I select that, I am going to get a little text box, and it's going to tell me this template contains labels for cell phone. Please edit the report and drag a membership field beside those labels and choose your cell phone field. All right, so I'm going to show you how to do that in just a minute. I find that most people I talk to these days are wanting to include cell phone and email. So this 2-column directory with cell and email is a pretty popular one that people are using. All right, now before I go in and edit this, I want to show you the reporting options. So you have 3 tabs over here to the right. These tabs are going to give you different options or setup adjustments that you can make before you run your directory. All right, so I want to touch on these quickly. So report options, uppercase the last name. It does just that. When you go to print your directory, it's going to take that last name where it's printed first, and it's going to put it in all caps. Include additional family members linked. So if you are using that linked option in people, say you have a couple that has split and they have children, then they want those children to show up in both houses, both households, both families. You link those children to both parents. Okay. Now, if you want those children to show up, say, on their mom's record with her, and then you also want that to show up on the dad's record with him, if that's the case, you link those children, and those children will show up both places. So if you want those kids to show up that way, you would check that box here that says include additional family members. For family picture, use individual picture if not available. So if you have a individualized photo updated on someone's individual record, but you don't have a family photo updated for that person, you can check this box in the program. If it sees they don't have a family photo, it's automatically going to grab the individual. The delimiter for reporting for children. So if you have a family of, say, 3 kids, this is checked. It's going to put a semicolon between each child's name. If you don't like the semicolon, you can go with a comma. Simple checkbox here. Also, if you're putting birth dates on the directory, which you can definitely do, you can check here to include the year, or you can specify for only the kids do you want to see the year. All right. Grouping page break options, page break on each person, alphabetic page break. I know my directory that my church used growing up, we always had church windows. They always put the photo directories in a real nice binder, and then they did this alphabetic page break, and then they had the letters listed along the side so you could easily tab to whatever letter of someone's last name you're looking for. So that's a really nice feature as well. And then you can also include an alphabetic heading. So at the beginning of all your B's, it could put a B with an underline here. So you can customize that, dress it up a little bit with different fonts if you wish. All right. Then we come to the unlisted options. So next to people's phone, email, and address, you have the ability to specify if that contact is or should be unlisted. Now, by default, when you run the directory, those fields that have that unlisted checkbox checked, they're not going to show up. If you decide you do want to see those for whatever reason, you can then switch over here to, say, print phones, and then you can specify if you want an asterisk to show up next to it or not. If you want to print the phone number, but you want to make a note that it is unlisted, you can check this with asterisk checkbox, and then it will be handled that way. Okay, up to you there. Let me switch this back. Okay, so those are your different options you have here in the top right. Now let's talk about going in and customizing this 2-column directory with cell and email. So once I have the template that I want to use selected, I'm going to hit this edit button, and then my report designer is going to open. I know I've heard from a lot of people this screen is a little intimidating, and I totally understand that because there are so many options here. But one of the great things about the directory is you can use or utilize this report designer as much or as little as you want. So if you want to go in and add your church logo, you want to change fonts around, you want to completely rearrange, readjust, change the layout, whatever you want to do, that can all be done here in the report designer. You have a bunch of tools over here in your toolbox you can play with and utilize to really get a directory that looks the way you want. Now, with that being said, if you have no interest in customizing it and you don't want it to be overdone, you just want to use the basic option that we give you, that's fine too. It's one of the great things about Church Windows is that it's flexible. You can use this report designer as much as you want or as little as you want, okay? And then once you get the layout set up the way you want, it's going to be saved. So you don't ever have to come in here again if you don't want to, okay? But what I want to show you is how we're going to fix that cell phone field. So that little blurb that it gave us that we need to drag a membership field over. This is what that text box was referring to here. Okay, so as you can see, email is here with a little person next to it. And then next to this, we have email for selected, email for spouse partner. These fields here, these are called personalized labels. The job of this field is to print the words Bob's email. Or this line, because it's for the spouse partner, it's going to print the words Sally's email, or whatever the first name is of the spouse or partner. This field is actually going to print what the email itself is, okay? So think of it this way. This is the labeling for the email address itself, okay? Now, cell phone needs to be set up that same way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to the right, and I'm going to grab a membership field. I'm going to click and hold on it, and I'm going to drag it over here on the right and drop it. Now, as soon as I drop that membership field, I have to tell Church Windows what information do I want to print in that membership field. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to choose my cell phone field, which is right here. Once I select it, I'm going to say OK. And now I have that cell phone field here. So again, this is going to print the text Bob Cell, if that's my primary person's first name. And then it's going to print what his actual cell phone number is here. All right. And then I need to repeat the process for line 2 because this is the spouse partner's information if they have one. Over here on the right, I'm grabbing a membership field and I'm dropping it. And again, cell phone's already selected for me. It remembered what I picked last time. And then I'm going to say OK. And then here is my cell phone field. All right, now as you can see, as soon as you bring a field over, it's always going to default to the selected individual. So what we have to do is adjust this. We need to change this to tell it that we want it to print for the spouse partner. So select the field. Hit this little right-facing arrow here, and my label tasks is going to open. In here, under family member, I'm going to switch to spouse partner of individual. Okay. Back over here on my personalized label, I also need to make sure this is set to spouse partner, which it already is. But then I'm going to fill in the omit. So I'm going to tell the program if there isn't a spouse or partner in that family, I don't want to see an empty line print. I want that to be shrunk up or removed so I don't have those empty fields. So I'm going to fill in this omit. So I'm going to choose cell phone for spouse partner of individual. All right. Same thing up here. Cell phone for, by default, it's always going to be on selected individual. So that's perfect. Now I'm going to go over here to the left on my personalized label. Selected individual is already set, but I need to fill the omit in here. So omit if selected field is empty. I'm going to go to cell phone for selected individual. Okay. Now, any other fields you might want to add, adjust. Sometimes people like to put birthdays in or if they're on a committee, something like that. All of that can be done here using your toolbox. Again, the membership field is probably going to be utilized the most because that's where you specify the information that you want to see. So whether it's a birth date, whether it's an age, whether it's a status code, whatever it might be, 99% of the time that membership field is where you're going to pull that information from. So you need to drag and drop that field over here on your layout. And then up here at the top, you also have some options for dressing up the page a little bit if that's something you want to do. Also, if you want to include a church logo or an image, you could use that here. Okay? All right, let me save this because it looks like we're right at 20 minutes. And once you hit Save As, you have to change the name of this. Because this is a template, the program isn't going to let you override this. So I'm just going to change the name to something simple. Church Directory. And then you can reuse this every year. So you don't need to call it Church Directory 2020, for example. You can simply call it Church Directory. And then when you go to print this again in, say, 6 months, just select Church Directory again and do your print, and then it'll re-pool those people when you run it again. All right, so once it's saved, I'm going to close. And now, as I was saying, you'll be able to use this again. So when you choose directory and look in this drop box, your saved template, your saved layout is going to be right here for you to reuse. I'm going to go ahead and hit print. And then here's my church directory. So if I scroll down, I had a good family here that I wanted to show you. Yeah, the Millers. So as you can see, Mel and Wendy, here are their 3 children. Here's their address, and then they don't have a primary phone listed, but they do have cell phones. So here's Mel's cell, Wendy's cell, and then there's also Mel's email and Wendy's email. Now, if you have someone who doesn't have one, so this family, for example, you can see it's a little bit different. Like Lucy doesn't have a cell phone listed, so it just has Anthony's cell. But that is it. That is how you would pull a church directory.